Elvis Presley's life took an unexpected turn in the summer of 1958 when an Army regulation opened a door that would change everything. It allowed soldiers with dependents to live off base after basic training. Elvis saw this as a chance to be closer to his family during his training at Fort Hood. His grandmother Minnie, his mother Gladys, and her husband Vernon moved into a trailer near the base. But this temporary comfort was soon overshadowed by a larger house they rented, hoping to make it their home while Elvis was away. As Elvis learned to be a soldier, his family became the heart of his life. Friends and fellow soldiers would join them for weekends, filling the house with laughter and music. Elvis even let some of his friends from the Army over to hang out. This was a rare moment of normalcy for the young star, but life was about to get much harder. In early August, as Elvis was deep into his training, Gladys fell seriously ill. She had been feeling bad for months, losing her appetite and slipping into depression. The thought of her son leaving for overseas made it worse. When she finally saw her doctor, it was too late. Her condition, likely a serious liver problem, had worsened quickly. Elvis, hearing the news, almost left his post to be with her. After intense pleas from Gladys and Vernon, the Army allowed him an emergency leave. The trip to Memphis was emotional. Gladys's health improved a bit with visits from Elvis and Vernon. But on August 14th, Elvis woke up to a devastating phone call. His mother had died. He rushed to the hospital where he held his mother's body, crying and promising her he loved her. The funeral was somber, with reporters present but Elvis barely able to stand. He collapsed in grief, murmuring to his mother, "Goodbye, darling, goodbye, I love you so much." Gladys's death was a turning point for Elvis. She had been his rock, offering love and wisdom as he soared to fame. Without her, Elvis and Vernon's relationship shifted. Vernon's influence waned, and Elvis turned more to his male friends for support. His life became less family-centered, though he would later find some stability in relationships with women. After saying goodbye to his mother, Elvis headed back to Germany, where he was stationed. He and Vernon, along with two friends, prepared to leave for Europe. At the Army terminal in Brooklyn, hundreds of fans gathered, and Elvis handled the chaos with his usual charm. He joked about starving if rock and roll died and talked about having a backup plan if his music career ended. On September 22nd, Elvis arrived in Germany, greeted by more fans and reporters. But soon he was off limits to the press and settled into military life. He lived with his father, grandmother, and friends in a series of homes, always trying to find a balance between military duties and personal life. In Germany, he found new friends among his fellow soldiers, including musicians who would later join his band. Weekends were spent playing football and exploring cities like Munich and Paris. Elvis's time in Germany was one of routine and camaraderie, but it was also a period of adjustment to military life after the comfort of being with his family. The loss of his mother weighed heavily on him, but he pressed on, knowing that his music and friends would carry him through the challenges ahead. During his time in Germany, Elvis Presley found himself in a complicated situation regarding relationships. Even though he was very close to Anita Wood, who he kept in touch with through letters, Elvis dated several other women while there. One of these women was Elizabeth Stefaniak, the stepdaughter of an American soldier. Elizabeth helped manage Elvis's fan mail but also slept with him, along with several other young women Elvis brought home. This made Elizabeth realize Elvis wasn't going to be monogamous, despite their close bond and discussions about marriage. However, everything changed in September 1959 when Elvis met Priscilla. She was just 14, the daughter of an Air Force captain who had recently moved to Germany. Priscilla was beautiful and mature beyond her years. She quickly became a regular at Elvis's house, spending late nights with him in his bedroom. Unlike Elizabeth, Priscilla was captivated by Elvis's sensitivity and openness. He shared deep feelings with her, talking about his mother and his career worries. Despite their close connection, Elvis kept their relationship platonic at first, believing it was special and that Priscilla needed to stay pure. But he didn't follow this rule himself, continuing his other romantic involvements. While serving in the army, Elvis also had to fulfill his military duties. He drove for a sergeant, learned reconnaissance skills, and participated in maneuvers near the Czech border. It was during one of these maneuvers that he was introduced to amphetamines, drugs used by many soldiers to stay awake longer. Elvis quickly started using them during weekends, even persuading friends to use them too, claiming they were harmless. This habit didn't just keep him going, it also changed his behavior, making him moody and sometimes vindictive. Elvis's behavior wasn't solely influenced by drugs. Without his mother Gladys around to keep him grounded, his ego grew unchecked. He sometimes acted like a big shot, assuming he deserved special treatment because of his fame. This was evident during football games where his teammates would let him play quarterback and later give him a trophy as the most valuable player. While Elvis understood this dynamic, it sometimes led him to take on an entitled attitude. Elvis's personal life was also turbulent. His relationship with Elizabeth was strained due to his infidelities, even though he insisted on maintaining a strict relationship with her. Priscilla, too, learned to tread carefully around Elvis and his friends, who often expected special treatment due to his celebrity status. Adding to Elvis's troubles was the affair his father Vernon started with Dee Stanley, the wife of another American soldier. Elvis viewed this as a disgrace, especially since it happened while his mother was still alive. When Dee and Vernon's affair became public, Elvis expressed his disapproval loudly, especially when alone with Priscilla. He hoped the affair would end once they returned to Memphis, but was disappointed when Dee eventually followed Vernon to the United States, leaving her children behind. Elvis's roots in Tupelo, Mississippi, a town known for its progressive spirit due to industries replacing agriculture, played a role in his upbringing. As the economy changed, Vernon often had to move for work, which brought him and Elvis into contact with different communities and cultures. This exposure was further amplified when the family moved to Memphis in 1948, a city where rural and urban cultures blended, and where Elvis would later find success. In Memphis, Elvis's exposure to diverse music and cultures continued. He signed with Sun Records and began performing across the South, quickly becoming a regional star. His big break came in 1956 when he appeared on Ed Sullivan's popular TV show, which boosted his fame and also sparked controversy. As Elvis's star rose, so did the challenges he faced, both personally and publicly. Through all these changes and challenges, Elvis's relationship with Priscilla represented a new chapter in his life. While he was careful to maintain an image of masculinity and control in front of his friends, his true feelings and vulnerabilities were more complex. Elvis's journey from a young boy in Tupelo to a famous musician in the spotlight was marked by personal struggles, relationships, and the ever-changing landscape of his world. To understand how Elvis Presley's career thrived despite the challenges, we must look closely at the clever strategies of his manager, Tom Parker. Parker was like a master puppeteer, pulling the strings to keep Elvis in the spotlight. At first, Elvis starred in movies that showed him as a young rock star. These films gave him chances to sing and dance, which was perfect for his image. A famous dance routine from the movie Jailhouse Rock shows just how dynamic Elvis was on screen. Parker knew that sending Elvis to the army was not just a risk but a smart move. It helped quiet his critics and helped Elvis gain respect. Sadly, during this time, Elvis lost his mother, Gladys, which deeply affected him. Despite this loss, Elvis's career took a positive turn thanks to Parker's plans. To make Elvis a mainstream star, Parker changed how the public saw him. He had Elvis appear in films like Blue Hawaii, where Elvis looked more wholesome and less threatening. This shift helped Elvis appeal to a broader audience. In 1968, Elvis's TV special reignited interest in him, and he began performing live again. This was a big moment, allowing him to connect with fans in person. He also kept learning, working on his singing skills with Charlie Hodge, aiming to become a better ballad singer. During Elvis's time in the Army, Parker worked hard to keep his star in the public eye. He sent Elvis letters and updates about new deals and kept him informed, making him feel involved. Parker understood what Elvis needed to stay motivated. Parker's first strategy was about recordings. He worked with RCA to limit how many new songs Elvis had to release, instead focusing on re-releasing old hits, which sold very well. This approach kept Elvis on the charts without overwhelming fans with too many new songs. At the same time, Parker negotiated better deals for Elvis with movie studios. He ensured Elvis would earn more money for fewer movies, making smart agreements that benefited both sides. Studios were eager to work with Elvis, knowing he was a big draw. Keeping Elvis in the news was another key part of Parker's plan. He kept fan clubs informed and promoted Elvis's upcoming projects. Even small gestures like sending telegrams helped build excitement and support. When Elvis returned from the Army, Parker's efforts paid off. Elvis's image had improved, opening doors to big movie deals and respect from other celebrities. What once made people wary of Elvis, his association with rock and roll, now helped him become part of the entertainment mainstream. Through it all, Elvis grew to rely on Parker, seeing him as essential to his success. Parker's strategies not only protected Elvis's star status, but also helped him evolve into a respected entertainer. By balancing controversy with savvy marketing, they created a path for Elvis to become one of the most iconic figures in music history.